Derivative trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Okay, and they've already messed up my sound. You hear me? Ah, now that works. Wait. Aha. There we go. Kids can't handle the temptation of a microphone. They have to touch it and turn the knobs. Wait, are we still on cardioid? Yeah, we're okay. We're good. Application error. Well, that's not good. And they moved the webcam too. Okay. Well, there's an interesting little bump up there. We have been moving higher. So the thing that happened yesterday, first of all, the E-mini just took a real dump. I mean, good grief. So I think that today is really likely to be somewhat of an update in the E-mini. Where we have to retrace and fill in at least this 2574 area, if not all the way back up here to 2603. If not all the way up to 2630. I don't know. It's just, what yesterday was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Some of the strongest selling I've ever seen. Market is really freaking out. Yeah. When you look at the 10-year, the 10-year did not really move up. So here is like some of the depths of the sell-off in ES. How can I just show that? I put these out next to each other. I look at yesterday. Oh, except for that, I don't have the time frame thing. Okay. Well, anyways, the Treasuries did not respond immediately. They were late. Then they popped up, and they continued to trade higher overnight in the European session. So, I'm not sure what the deal is, but Treasuries did not seem to be buying it, and they actually have not quite beaten out this weekly high either. What is that weekly high? 120.30. So they didn't quite touch it. One tick short. Okay. Well, that's kind of something that would make you think that we would go and touch that. But I kind of see maybe some reasons for it to go either way. I'm wondering. Well, and we got some news. Let's move this back over here. Okay. And this one goes here like this. Let's grab the link. There it is. Discord. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Okay. And then this to Forex Factory. I think we do have a few numbers today, right? Building permits and housing starts. Probably not going to be a very encouraging number. No. Morning. I hate that these like autoplay. You know what I mean? I don't need to be watching my own stream back. Okay. Okay. Good morning. Good morning, Twitch. Always got the one person on Twitch. All right, and the squawk. See what they're saying. Okay, well, things are pretty slow and illiquid for now. Wow, okay. So what was that? Market's pretty jumpy. Somebody tweet something?
1 minute.
Okay, well, let's just let the news come out and see what happens.
Ten seconds. Housing starts 1.6 million power revised. Change 3% power revised -1%. Building permits in at 1.32. And in terms of the change month on month, 5%. Canadian manufacturing sales month on month down 0.1%. Meanwhile, US November single family permits up 1%. 1,000. Multi-family up 40% to 480,000. Trump tweets yet again regarding Russia collusion.
Okay, let's read it. Michael Iskov was the first to report dossier allegations and now seriously doubts the dossier's claims. The whole Russian collusion thing was a hoax, but who is going to restore the good name of so many people whose reputations have been destroyed? I find this kind of an interesting take from Mr. Trump here because I've found that he tends to tweet about things that he feels like aren't being covered, or that, like he views his Twitter as like his direct line outside of fake news. And so he tends to point out the things that he doesn't think fake news is doing a good job of doing. And he is now treating the whole Russia investigation as a foregone conclusion that it is now proven false. And he's saying, Michael Flynn's reputation was absolutely destroyed from this whole thing. And there was quite a bit of news there. I think he actually tweeted about that too, didn't he? Yes, good luck today in court to General Michael Flynn. So he knows what's going on in court. Probably what he's talking about. But it's just kind of that. There's that. I'm only pointing it out because it's a really subtle thing. His tone on the Russia investigation has changed from, this is a bad thing and it's all fake and you guys should all wake up, to it is foregone conclusion that it is fake now and we need to start picking up the pieces and fixing the damage. Slight change. Slight change from him. Well, I want to know what caused the market to buy their 7,000 contracts or so. That kind of move can really easily lead to a reversal because of the way that people get overextended in it. And it did reverse, and now who knows what it's going to do. I think I'd probably still have to favor the buy side here. ZB came right back to 19 and bounced right off of it. Well, we're starting to get enough liquidity, we could think about trading it. I'm a little uneasy though because I don't see anything to have prompted that move. See, I don't see anything, literally nothing on Twitter where the housing starts. Okay, now we are seeing a little bit of initiation below our spot. And the E-mini is like right on some support there. I don't know. That 5-year took a step lower. Appears to be some flattening going on still. Or rather, some flattening may be coming in. What I should say more accurately. That 5-year went down more. Flattening. 2018 is U.S. housing market's most disappointing year on record. Well, that doesn't surprise me though. So I think most of the everybody that was able to buy a house already did it.
Saying the cabinet senior ministers agreed that delivering PM's Brexit deal was top priority and best no-deal preparation. Notes the cabinet agreed we have now reached the point where we need to ramp up no-deal preparations. The cabinet agreed to set in motion remaining elements of no-deal preparations, and the government will recommend businesses now enact no-deal plans as they judge necessary. They also noted that citizens should also prepare for a no-deal Brexit and further detailed advice for citizens on a no-deal coming weeks. The government will provide information to businesses and traders on how to prepare for potential changes at the border. Leaving with a deal remains the most likely scenario, however. The government will also saying there are a number of pieces of legislation that Parliament ready for the scenario.
Okay. There was a little bit of buying as he was talking about that, and then there was a little bit of a market reaction. Hmm. My take so far is that we're having another day that is not conducive to a read. If I had to make a guess, I would say up. Based on the liquidity that we see below us, the huge iceberg that we're seeing in the 5-year, the edges on a daily basis that I tend to use all indicate up. E-mini is selling a little bit. So if I had to make a guess, it'd be up, but the liquidity is not super strong for starters. And you're getting jumpy moves. So this just does not look like action conducive to an effective read to me. Oh, good morning. Jump up there in viewers. I hope you guys are not as bored as I am. This is just not going. Suppose if we were going to buy, though, I'd have to be at 25. And that's a really gutsy call. Because that's literally right on the edge. And it's pulling. Oh, okay. But they traded through it. And a 5-year takedown. Well, now all of a sudden I really want to buy it. I think I need to see more than that to buy it. But by the time you actually see more than that, probably not going to give you that price. It's building at 24.5 too. By the way, is our little plugin still? Browser source. Looks like it's just still broken. Just not loading. Well, you could definitely buy 25 now, but they're stacking up on it. Yeah, it's just not going. I'm just going to remove the. I'm just going to remove it. Well. And do it like that. How about that? It will move me back over here. Okay. That's good. Hmm. Nothing great before FOMC, but sure, ES can impact and gives good opportunities. Yeah.
Conte told the European Commission key reforms cannot be changed further by the answer.
Okay, so they moved down through it. So that's just kind of like a further indication there for us that, what we were seeing. I said, well, there are some things that are favoring it long, and it went the opposite way. So, not conducive to a read. If anything, they probably do the opposite of what the read is. We did move through some decent liquidity, and there's not anything stacking below us. So, one possibility, I guess, is that we really come down and that we get a strong rally in the E-mini. That would make me so happy, but I don't think I can trade that. Thinking about it, the other option is that we may just come back up and, well, we'll move down a little bit, but then we'll reverse and come back up and trade back and forth across this liquidity at like 25. Yeah. I don't blame you guys. I'm turning it off the stream. Nothing's happening. What's this? Why would I say that? YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. What does that mean? Yeah, it looks fine to me when I'm watching it. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird. I think it's okay though. If there's anything wrong with the stream, let me know. Just chat. Now would be a great time for a little chat. Okay. 24.5 went bid again there pretty strongly. Yeah, I don't think I want to touch this. I might not touch this until the E-mini goes live. Well, in the meantime, let me tell you this funny story. Well, it's not really a very good story, but something I found amusing that happened to me on Reddit last night. And I'm not going to link you to it because I don't want anybody going like brigading or anything like that. Even though I know you'd probably love to go and read the thread, but there was a meme that was talking about Mexico paying for the wall, right? And the meme was essentially like, oh, okay, Mexico's not actually going to pay for the wall because they're trying to get funds from Congress, right? Now, let me just stop for a moment and explain why that's ridiculous, because that's not the way that the government works, right? Like, even if Mexico had given us a check, like literally Mexico wrote out to the United States or to Donald Trump, $5 billion, and then down in the notes, for wall, okay? Like, even if that had happened, what would happen? That check would be deposited in the Treasury, and Congress would still be responsible for allocating those funds so that they can go towards building the wall, right? So just understand, no matter what, even if Mexico is paying for the wall, Congress still has to do something to make it happen, right? But Donald Trump has said in the past, well, if we got a good trade deal, then that would count as Mexico paying for the wall. That recouping that money through better trade would be Mexico paying for the wall. And he tweeted this, like the earliest tweet that I can find is January, but I recall him saying something during the campaign. But Google has made it harder to search for those sorts of things. Anyways, so this person is arguing with me, and I'm like, he's like, that's not what Donald Trump meant. Anybody that's paying attention knows that that's not what he meant, that he thought that Mexico was going to ready check. And so I said, well, oh, hold on.
share sense.
And I was like, well, how do you know that? Can you read his mind? Because how do you know what he really meant? Especially since here's some comments and tweets from him in the past that directly contradict what you're saying. And the guy refused to look at the link because it was a link to Donald Trump's Twitter. And it was a link that the link was Donald Trump saying, literally saying, if we got a better trade deal, that would count as Mexico paying for the wall. Like literally Donald Trump saying that in his own words. And the guy said that because it was his Twitter that it's not a valid source. And he refused to even click on the link. So I think that he was probably thought that it was some, Donald linking to some news story or mentioning some news story or something. And that was, he doesn't realize that I'm linking to it because it's a quote. And he refused to click the link. Was like mind-bogglingly stupid to me. It made no sense at all. Like literally the silliest conversation I've ever had on Reddit. Absolutely deranged. So we came back up like what, 2 ticks? But then that was as far as they were able to get. There is a little bit of liquidity below us. Stickball. Hey, good morning, by the way. I've never seen your name before, so welcome to the stream. Is it just, I just don't understand. Listen, I'm a conservative guy. I live in Utah, so obviously I'm a conservative person, right? And I think it's important for us to realize that as much as we would want to deny it, a pretty large portion of what we believe politically has to do with where we're from. It's just straight up is, okay? And I acknowledge that. So I'm from Utah, I'm conservative, but I would read all of Obama's tweets. Like anytime that Obama tweets, I'll read it. I don't think I'm following him. Am I following him? I probably should. But I mean, I read everything that he puts out, and when he was president, that he would put out. And especially since Donald Trump kind of views Twitter as like a direct line between himself and the people, and he's posting stuff on Twitter that he thinks that Americans should read. Like if the president thinks that you should see that, isn't that an important thing to look at, even if you agree or disagree with him? And these people are saying, no, I don't want to be exposed to what he's saying. So that right there is intentional ignorance at that point. So like, I understand that I'm biased, but that position is just ridiculous. It would be ridiculous if a Republican was saying refuse to read Obama's Twitter feed. Like, it's just straight up dumb. So, I don't know. I think that part of the thing that makes it so crazy is just the timing of it, because I'm seeing so many, I don't know, there's just so much of what's going on today seems irrational to me. Yes, there's lots of leaks these days. Peter's talking about sometimes they move ahead of the FOMC like they know what's going to happen, and Peter's saying, yeah, there's a lot of leaks. Then here, I will type here. So I've wondered when we have moves going into the FOMC meeting, sometimes it seems like the market knows what's going to come out of the meeting. And I've wondered if um, there are leaks from the Federal Reserve, or if the market just knows, based on the data, what they're likely to do. And sometimes the market is being dominated by other factors, and it's not until the week of that the FOMC becomes critical. But, but, I should also point out that since Powell has been in, I have not seen that. So maybe it was somebody it related to Yellen that's not around anymore that was leaking. Theory. A good market conspiracy theory for you.
Private sector.
So there's a decent amount of liquidity at 16 now. So here again,
with thousands of December.
I'm kind of looking at it, and I feel like that the resting liquidity still seems to favor going long here. But it is not action conducive to a good order flow read. It just isn't. You're not getting any strong signals. It's really slow. Probably better to not touch it.
The EC forex was now 3 euros 227.
A record number of investors think corporations are overlevered. 3 months ago, a record number of investors tripped over themselves to 5 times oversubscribed to covered light, 6 times leveraged loan deals. Companies are overleveraged. I think that this is a key component of what's going on. Like, it's fourfold, really. There's 4 things that could, anytime that we see move, 4 things that could be affecting it. China trade, interest rates, the debt ceiling, or like the government closing down, and Brexit, right? So one of the things that we see is anytime that it looks like the Federal Reserve is going to raise rates, everybody seems to panic. And it seems to me that the reason that is because so many companies are over leveraged and the banks still have so much in assets that when they raise rates, everything becomes worth less. And it doesn't help that that they're still selling all those mortgages onto the market, right? So even though it seems like, oh, we're on a gradual rate increase, because of that, it's actually stronger than it appears. It's actually quite a weight on the market. That was a big realization that I had last night as well. Because I kept saying, look, like interest rates aren't that high. What's the big deal? We're not considering that they are unwinding the stimulus at the same time. Not good. I think, maybe I'm wrong, But I think if Yellen was in charge right now, they would not raise interest rates. She was so dovish. And there were so many times where I thought, hey, you should raise interest rates or reduce the balance sheet or something because you're not going to have enough room for the next financial crisis. And then we end up into this situation where we do move it up a little bit and we only get even a tiny bit and the market's starting to get scared and we need to hold off again. And because we didn't raise it when we were supposed to, we're behind. And now it's like they're overcompensating. I don't know. It seems, it concerns me. I don't think that it's necessarily like has to lead to a recession, but it's concerning. But the market is really concerned about it, right? I don't know. So the E-mini is awfully quiet, I think. We've had over the past week, during this time period, we've actually seen pretty strong moves in the E-mini. Especially on the sell days where it's sold pre-market. But today it seems to just be kind of biding its time. Could that mean that there's buy day in the works? That would be nice. We are at a significant resistance point, right? That 120, 29.5 is one tick short of the previous swing high. Or like last week's high was 30. We come off of it. Like, if you're a long-term trader and you want to go short, this is where you got to do it. The big questioning factor in there is if you want to get short. Do they actually want to do that? I don't know. Tomorrow, I will be streaming tomorrow for the FOMC, and it is going to be super interesting. Super interesting. Oh, yeah, that's an interesting point. So somebody's just pointing out when we had a recession, what was the funds rate when it started and when it ended. When you look at the 1981, ooh man, funds were all the way up at 19% and they came down to 8%. So that was a lot of stimulus, but rates were really too high back then. But the percentage change in general is not really all that different. In fact, slightly less than average for the 2008 crisis. It's just that rates were already pretty low. Yep, rates were already pretty low. I'm just gonna work from home tomorrow. So we'll do our usual 2-hour session in the morning. Then I'll turn it off and work. And then for my lunch break, we'll come back and stream. We'll stream the FOMC comments. I mean, man, I've never personally witnessed an FOMC meeting with as much uncertainty around it as this one coming up, you know? Like the December meeting is always kind of seems to be the wild card one. Like people aren't sure if at that point that they're actually going to raise or not. And many times in the past since I've been trading, they just say no, they're not going to do it. And the market generally expects because the whole, excuse me, the paradigm shift that has been in place since I've traded is that the Federal Reserve wants to give forward guidance so that when the release happens, there's no surprise, which is good. I mean, like it reduces volatility in the market, but what we're finding is it's a double-edged sword, because then they're kind of almost locked into what they're doing, and now it's like if they don't raise, oh no, something bad must really be going on for them to back off. What do you do for work? So I'm a software engineer. We work for a healthcare exchange. So yeah, it's easy to work from home on my laptop. I'm gonna do that all the time. Probably work from home quite a bit next week too, because like nothing's gonna be happening in the office. Most people are gonna be gone. Anyways, but so probably the actual like headline numbers. I mean, if the market says that they're gonna raise, they're probably going to raise. But then there's always that statement, and what are they going to put in the statement, right? So they could say, hey, things have really slowed down, or we're really concerned, and this would justify leaving interest rates where they are for an extent for quite some time, and or maybe even reducing the balance sheet. I mean, I don't know. There's a million things that they could say there that would be like dovish, right? But then there's, even if they do that, then how does the market react to that? Because they could come out and they could say, okay, we're happy where we're at, and we're not going to be doing any more tightening. And the market might say, oh, well, that's something must be bad, and so they'll still not like it, you know? Or they could just say, oh, good, like everything's okay now, like the Federal Reserve really is backing off. Like, I don't know, there's just, like, it could go so many different ways, you know? I think that we might have really volatile trading. There's probably people are going to have very differing views on how to interpret what they do. And this is just awful action. We've been here at 25 now for 40 minutes. Almost 40 minutes. It's kind of seeing volume spikes in strange places. Expect more QE in the case of a serious downturn? I hope so. Trading was good when QE was a thing. It was. Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, on we've been working on a strategy. If you guys have questions about programming stuff, just like send me an email with the problem that you're having. So sometimes the problem is that I just don't understand where you're at or what you're trying to do, and so it's kind of hard to help. But that's why it's better to do it in person. But I'll always try to help. Like, a lot of time at work, I'm waiting on things and stuff, and so it's good to have something to switch to for a minute or two and try and figure out what's going on while I'm waiting for something to build or run or whatever the deal is. Unfortunately for me, because I'm at work for a healthcare exchange, what I do is kind of I make tools that the developers and QA people use. So it's like all internal stuff. Like it's full-fledged programming. I see. Not as easy as this, cross that, or adr. Okay. Yeah, we'll take a look at it tomorrow. Like right after 8:30, we'll take a look. 8:30 my time. Anyways, but so because it's all internal tools, right now is the healthcare season, and so the teams are all mostly concerned about fixing things and keeping everything running during the busiest time of the year for us. I thought I worked for a lumber company. No, it's healthcare. That was somebody else. Who was that? I think I remember who you're talking about, though. Anyways, so the season for me, for everybody else in the company, it's like a really hectic time. But for me, it's really slow. And I'm just kind of helping because there's a couple of things I'm like, some of their QA is not up to par, let's just say. There's some things I want to fix, and I'm just kind of like waiting, like, okay, so we're gonna fix these things or not? But of course, can't expect them to do it right now, so it's kind of like, okay, we'll wait until January and see what happens. I'm sure they will. Actually, did that. We had a couple of little incidents, let's just say, performance incidents this year, and a lot of the work that we had done ended up helping them significantly. So I think we're doing really well, making progress. But man, I'm just, sometimes I can be so impatient it kind of drives me crazy. Sitting and waiting for it. Oil's catching a little bit of a bid this morning. I wonder if something happening in the okay, interesting. Oh, you know what? Some of my I need to move over the rest of my instruments because my currencies did not roll over. Let's roll that over. Roll over. There we go. Ah, yes. That would be important to have. 6J has been moving up along with this move quite strongly. Especially after December 14th. Oh, and same with the euro. Hmm. Is that right? That doesn't quite match up to me. If 6J is going up, that means that the dollar is weakening. The dollar is weakening and the E-mini is going down at the same time? Not good. Okay, trade's going short again. Well, I do kind of see that this is where you would want to... The risk-reward favors short. At least on the short term. I find it really interesting to see the number of people that step into the trade when the E-mini is getting ready to go. Not very many people trading the treasuries early morning anymore, for some reason. I guess maybe it's just that time of year, but I had a couple of people come in August, and then kind of people are more interested in the E-mini. Yeah, short term is good. Well, yeah, you get the big order there of like what, 25.72? It appears to be offering some substantial resistance to them. Now we've been here at 20. We've been here in the treasuries for quite some time. Swisso doesn't like it, huh? So you know what? I'm actually... So we'll see if it trades back up. I might dump this really quickly. but I'm kind of starting to see a little bit of a change in the book here. Yeah, I would really prefer, so as not to say you've made some good calls, you've made a few bad calls that I can recall, but I think it would be much better to, instead of saying that's bad trade, I wouldn't do that. Instead, say, well, there's some liquidity here, or there's something about the context of this day that actually makes us likely to move up in the E-mini. You know? And kind of make okay, the best spot for a short is 25.72. I agree with that, but they may go right through it. I don't know. They're kind of buying it, aren't they? Uh, oh, Potato's talking about trying to get rid of his license again. I'll allow it this one more time, but I'm going to guess that probably most people in here already have a license and aren't going to be interested. So I don't know what to tell you. My money is on 2613. Okay.
Zach here, crafting a plan to output and
Well, 2613 would be all the way up there, the beginning of the move. I'm assuming that's why you're picking it. Jigsaw is the software that I'm using. Yeah. What do you use, by the way, Ace? Yeah, that's not looking too positive for me. Oh, Sierra charts. Okay. Yeah. So like all of those features in Sierra charts where you can see like how much is traded at each price and it resets and everything, they stole those from Jigsaw. Literally, that's most of what Sierra charts has. They stole from somebody else. It's still good software. Don't get me wrong, but they stole a lot of their ideas. Well, there's a reasonable amount being offered at 24.5 still, and we traded about 2,000 into it. So yeah, I'm gonna have to say that's time to get out. I'm all for pirates. I gotta tell you what, so wait, hold on. Well, let's get rid of that. Okay. In Ninja Trader 8, they have a DOM that is really awful. And but you can write indicators for it. So I wrote an indicator that showed you how much traded at each price, and if it moved away and came back to that price, it would reset it. It wasn't based on a time, but it was just like if it is moved away and come back, it would reset at all. And so I made this and I posted it, and I had people come after me. Not gonna name names or anything like that. And it was okay. We were able to work it out, and I removed it. But they defend their turf. But if you're a big company, it's like, you know, not much they can do. Now there are some things the one thing is the Vista chart. Jigsaw did not come up with that. That was really I think a response to Bookmap, you know? And even then I kind of feel like Bookmaps is a little bit better. But then Jigsaw added these histograms that you can see, like the red and blue on the chart there. And I find that really useful. So you can really see, for instance, on the chart, when I took that trade, there was a chance that the book was flipping around, but then it didn't. The sell side liquidity came out, and we got out. And so I think that I had a good exit, even though it wasn't really a good trade, but a good exit. And you can there was kind of a little bit of a signal there in the chart. I've never used Jigsaw, but what I've seen looks like a collection of ideas he's stolen from others and now calls his own. Well, I think the one thing that he did first was the current trades column. That was always their thing, right? Sierra charts didn't have that until much later. And that was based on kind of on, the way that people would trade on the trading technologies DOM, but the trading technologies DOM never didn't have like a current trades column like the way that it is right now. It would just show how much is trading at the current price on the DOM. It was different. It was different. It was a little bit harder to see what was going on. And I think that the innovation that Pete came up with was he said this is the way that people are trading it. Let's just change things up so that it's easier to see. Hence the Jigsaw DOM. I really do think that he has the best DOM though. I really can't imagine trading on the Ninja Trader DOM. Ugh. Especially the dynamic one. Ugh.
7% with an average selling price was an 840.
Like the
Price index rising spot percent in that there.
the Ninja Trader. There's quite a bit of. Nobody needs a split current trades. If you say so. I know that they've had that around for a long time. I don't know when Sierra Charts added it. It's not even necessarily like a straight up thing in Sierra Charts. You kind of have to configure a bunch of stuff to get it. But he's had this now. My understanding is for well over like 8 years. He's had that. So I'm looking at it now. Like we got out at 24.5 and it kept going through. It's kind of like when we got out was kind of when they really started stacking liquidity on, and they're continuing to do it. So I kind of would really like to go short now, but I don't feel like 23 is necessarily a good price to do it at. Well, because here's this 22 half and 15. They're just kind of steps all along the way. To be selling it here, we'd have to be saying that they're going to go down to the low. Set solid stops, yeah. But I don't. The thing is I don't want to sell into 23 and then have them tick up, right? I need. That may be what I end up doing. Oh yeah. And I think I'm actually going to, just based off of the way that volume came through there. Except for that they're not doing it in the 5-year. I think the better trade here would be to buy the E-mini. Because the E-mini is not really all that far removed, even though treasuries are selling hard. Okay. This is a little bit risky because they are getting pushed back here. But it seems like they want to sell it. Yep. Mm-hmm. The first impulse is selling in the E-mini. 25.69. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that we buy right there. Mm-hmm. So you're kind of interestingly seeing, what I'm seeing is you get a strong selling impulse that sputters out really quickly. Okay, now they're actually trading a little bit more here. Let's see, buyers come in here now probably. There's a lot of people that want to sell it here, but they're holding it for now. Okay, now I'm seeing buyers digging in. They stuck a big bid right here, right at where my buy was. Maybe that was Swisso right there. They put that. Oh, but he pulled it. You know what? Screw you. If you can play games like that. Oh my. I have to say, there's definitely some buying coming in here, and they are fighting the buyers very hard. Because we popped up a decent amount, but look at the cumulative delta. Okay. Well, they stopped one guy out there. Okay. 5K at 23. 5K bid at 23 that we have now pushed through, and they're now stacking more at 23 than we've seen. Look at how it jumped to 25.74, yeah. But then they took profits. So we've got about 2,000 contracts short still that could potentially get stopped out. Treasuries weren't able to hold that offer. fact they're stacking at 23 again. Okay. And you're getting absorption at 23 again. Okay. I don't know if this trade is going to work out, but if it does, I think that you could have a really good move down to the lows in treasuries. Because they seem to be. I mean, look at 38, weight 9 at 23 now. So there's actually a really high amount of interest at this price. I'm going to say relatively high interest considering our location. Okay, so now they are holding a strong bid in the cleared 22.5. And the E-mini is buying a little bit. Okay, so the buyers in the E-mini and especially the sellers in the 10-year made a little bit more headway, but we're still right about at the same spot. So it's not over yet. This is the one where you say, oh, we should have gotten out at the +1 at 22.5, and then you don't, and you lose 4 ticks. Or you do get out at 22.5 and it goes down to the lows, just like you thought. That's what happens in this spot. I think that they're going to get over that 25, 70, 50 order. Kind of odd for them to place a big one right there like that. He probably wants to be filled. They are stacking a lot of liquidity at 23.5 now. Oh, some of it's pulling though when they tick back up. I don't know. See, if that 5 can get to like 7, then it would start to look really strong. Yeah, crazy market, be careful. Yeah. Well, the way that the E-mini is behaving right now is a really good example of why I can't trade it, because I have a pretty good price at 25.69, but how much has it probed it? You know what I mean? Oh, there's air gauges is posting there. I'll allow it, but that's the last time, because I think everybody's, you know, received it, so there's not much point in doing it more. So the people around here are pretty consistent. Those are the same people every day, which, by the way, I really, really appreciate. Do you know? So I was watching this thing the other day about Twitch, because this guy was pointing out that Twitch is not a platform designed for you to be discovered on. Really does not work that way. YouTube, you can be discovered on, and I am. And I think that that's why I get a lot more viewers on YouTube, because people search for stuff and they come across my channel. But on Twitch, it doesn't really work that way. People generally find you through other means, and they usually don't search through, you know, Twitch's actual search functions to find people. But one of the ways that it determines what to show is actually based on how long you watch. So because we have about a dozen people or so that come and watch for the whole 2 hour session, which is a really long time in YouTube terms, we tend to rank really high because of that. If we had 12 viewers on Twitch all the time, we'd probably pull more people on Twitch, but there's probably not a very huge audience for it on Twitch, so it's probably all, doesn't matter, but was a really interesting video to watch. See, here they are at $25.69 again, but now that's price is actually kind of being a little bit of resistance. And the buyers have yet to come in and really make a breakout of sorts, right? The cumulative delta is still going down. Although I'd have to say that is a lot of cumulative delta to have not been able to get past that spot, Buyers can... Still seeing about 6,000 at 23.5. I mean, if buyers can pull it out here, it would be really positive because they have a lot of shorts piling on. But it's a big if. The way the level 2 is behaving in the 10-year, though, does say that taking a trade at 23 was okay. To go short is risky today. Yeah. I mean, I agree with that, but are you saying that because of a statistical measure that you have? Because the only thing that I'm seeing is that yesterday was like crazy oversold, and the chance that we get a positive day and a pullback today is really high. That's kind of the framework I'm working off of. But that's like a super dangerous. That alone would be super dangerous, right? Because that one of the characteristics of this market is that it just doesn't give a fuck about those sorts of things. They sell it, and they just sell it and sell it and sell it. So we'll see. I mean, this is kind of more of the same, right? Oh, yeah. The futures. Oh, that's right. Yes, I recall. And in fact, I think I remember your name from earlier on. I think it's been more than a year, right? It was a year in May. So it's been a year and a half now that we've been streaming. I remember. Yeah, that one was funny. Like, so they did a contest. Oh, you know what? It kind of makes me mad now thinking about it. They had the reason I started it was because they had a Futures IO contest where they wanted people to make a video. So I started posting videos, and at first I didn't stream. I just posted the videos every day, right? And I was like the only person that did it. So it was a contest, and the prize was supposed to be a NinjaTrader 8 license. So I'm like, yes, I'm finally gonna get a NinjaTrader 8 license. That'll be like really useful and everything. And then they canceled the contest and I never got it. So yeah. And then at that point I was like, well, I might as well keep doing it. And now at this point I just kind of feel like, I don't know, it's because there's many times where I've thought like, okay, is this not maybe recording it and everything is not a good thing. Yeah, time flies, right? So this is now because I started in October of 2015, right? So this is now my fourth winter. The Daniel Craig of trading platforms. Yeah, you know what? I really like NinjaTrader 8, not because it's the best platform per se, but like it it's to me it's the most intuitive. And so if I'm talking to somebody new, and I got to tell you what, like guys, like I've been looking at some of the Facebook groups. There's a lot of new people that don't really understand what's going on, and they're not technology people like I am. You know. Oh, we are getting some cumulative delta long now. It's interesting, but they're not really making a lot of headway either. Statistics in today's time is just for noobs. So then what kind of edge are you basing that off of then? And please don't tell me insider trading, because last thing I need is the CFTC coming in. Because we did something wrong. Let's keep it all kosher, please. But I'm sure you have something more than just I think it's going to do it, right? And that's the problem. You make some pretty good calls, but I have no clue what you're basing it off of, so I can't like it's not useful to me because of that. Because it's just like some random person saying something. Anyways, I've thought many times like, oh, maybe the streaming isn't the most positive thing, but like I wouldn't I wouldn't I enjoy it so much. I don't think I ever give it up. You know, and it's so much better, like the community that we've built around this, especially with the Discord, um is just so great. Like I feel like we got to just keep this going and continue to build the community because we have something really special going. What would I rate my trading right now? um well, today I'm happy with it so far today. There they are. They are finally making it out. And the offers are still stacking. So as long as I'm seeing the offers stacking, I think I can hold this. So now you're getting block sells, so somebody big thinks that this is going to continue. And they did it right there as the E-mini started breaking that last pivot. Was this the block sell at 22 or at 50? Okay, it was 21.5. That's critical because there was a block sell, but it didn't clear. That tends to matter. Okay, but they're still hitting it, so I think we could if we can move through this and they can build some liquidity, then we could really get a really strong move down. For me, day trading didn't work out that well, unfortunately. Yeah, so I was going to answer that. Um, I would say that overall this year was pretty inconsistent, man. I did fucking amazing, and I really have to say, I was really proud of the way that I traded from December of last year till about March, and then it completely fell apart. It completely fell apart. And around May to June, it was just like I gave up everything that I had made and done well with. And then the summer, of course, sucks. And then when markets became liquid and started moving again around, August, it was kind of just okay. And now in December, I think overall in December I'm profitable, not by a ton, but it's been pretty good. So I feel that my trading is actually okay, but that my problem is adjusting to different kinds of markets, and especially, there appears to be some degree of seasonality to it. Ah, now they are clearing it. Yeah. Well, that move up in the E-mini looked good, but they did not break the overnight high yet, did they? But it's unfinished. I think that they will. I'm like the BoJack Horseman of day trading. Oh, because you just everything doesn't work out. I don't know. Like, so to the other question, like, why do you trade? Um, I'm not quite sure what it is that makes me enjoy it so much, but it is 100% the thing I enjoy doing the most, even if I'm trading poorly. Like, and even if I'm not trading, I spend so much of my free time. I mean, I don't know if you guys catch a lot of this on stream as much because we all seem to always be so agreeable here on stream, but I like to argue, man. And I just found I have so much of a tendency to go and find the thing that everybody seems to think is going to happen and step in and say, well, here's why it might not actually happen. Yeah, the bird is awake. You know, the kids are awake. I have not broken that eye yet. That's just what I do. And like trading is just like what I like to do naturally, but you can get paid doing it. So I think that that's why I trade. And it was, you know, the way it started was in 2008, and I would pick like 10 stocks and manage a portfolio. And like in 2008, I actually doing it that way, although it was on paper, so we should keep in mind, like, I don't think I cheated, but you know, there might have been things that I didn't know at the time, right? They would have prevented some of those trades. But like I doubled my money in 2008 when there was kind of like a little bit of a pullback before it went down, you know? And before that, I thought I was going to develop video games, actually. Like I went to school, we did a program. I was one of the first graduates there at the University of Utah for their electronic engineering arts degree. I don't know, I still kind of like it short, but it looks like that we're going to get at least the pullback, and I think I might have to hold through the pullback. Because I don't know how I feel about buying at 22. I don't think that I would be able to get short. If I get it, I don't know if I'd be able to get short again at the good prices. So I think I should hold it. Anyways, and so here's what happened with that. So it was like the first it was like the first year where you could graduate with a degree for basically making video games. They call it the electronic arts engineering. And that was back when Farmville was a thing, right? TST is a scam. Stay away, kids. Yeah, you know what? I really so somebody was arguing with me about this on one of the videos. You should go and find it. I didn't respond to them, but they said they're like, you're just complaining because you can't pass the combine, right? And no, I'm telling you, the target is unrealistic. Not that it's unrealistic, like you're never going to hit it. You're never going to hit it You're never going to hit it consistently. That target, you cannot hit that every month of the year. No way. 100% no way. And if you've hit it once, you either A, got really, really lucky, or B, you were taking on too much risk. And if you were taking on too much risk, then that means that once you get funded, the chances of you blowing out and them taking the account away from you are really high. And guess what? That is exactly what happens. That is exactly what happens. So yeah, I'm not going to say that it's a scam, but man, if you're going to do it, you better really know what you're doing and feel really confident that you're going to pass the combine, because you're probably not. Unless you're like a really strong professional that's better than any of us, you know. I've known people that pass it, but like I said, like a lot of it is luck. Fortunately, if you do not need it, you can transfer it to me. What, the Top Step Trader account? Anyways, yeah, somebody was arguing with us about that, and I was like, eh. I've never really heard of a real legit success story from Top Step Trader. Yeah, I mean, I remember when I would go in there into their room, and there was some people that, you know, they said that they had been trading there for a long time, and every once in a while they would come in and talk to us. But it really sounds to me like what happens to most people is they get funded, and they're funded for a couple of months, and maybe they do well, and then the market changes and they get screwed. I will say that it is incredibly hard. I'd say either go with 100K or 150 and simply trade 1 to 2 contracts. Yeah. Um, I mean, obviously it depends on what you're trading, right? So if you trade the E-mini, I think you can do it with 1 or 2 contracts for sure. If you're doing it on ZN, when I was doing some recalculations, like with my strategy, I was like, oh, okay, like I did really well this month, but I wouldn't have passed the combine. But I redid all the stats, and if I had traded 4 contracts, I would have been able to hit the target and still stayed within my own daily risk limits. So it can be done, but like I said, like 4 contracts is more than I would be trading on with the amount of risk that they allow you. You know, with the amount of risk that they allow you, you really can't. It's too tight. It's just too tight. I really like that iceberg holding things down at 21.5, but I want to see them attacking that 21 now. Like let's see this guy that sold 21.5 follow through.
Company optimistic the deal will be struck with the EU.
Look up David Knight. I will. The dude got funded 10 times and didn't make any money at all at the end of it. Might not be a scam, just like slot machines are not technically a scam. I mean, the way I look at slot machines is just entertainment. Just you put $10 into it, enjoy an hour or so of fun, and then when you lose it all, be done. And if you win, like if you like pull out $30 or whatever, then you just walk away. You pull it out, and then you can put the 10 back in, maybe. And then if you lose that 10 again, like, you're done. You had your fun. And that's the way it works. It's an awful thing. I mean, futures are the same thing. It's like you have to have self-control.
The government could revoke Article 50 to give more time for preparations. Article 50 cannot be revoked temporarily.
It's always when I think about things in the market or like trading, 90% survive their only scalper, but TSD is not scalper friendly. Yeah, I would agree with that. There are some other combines that seem a little bit more promising, like these new guys that they just say, you set it, you set your limits, and you just tell us what they are, and we'll watch to see if you're holding to what you say. That's better, but the target is still really tough with the amount of leverage that you have. It's still really hard. And yes, Fib Futures is right. Top Step Trader scalps things that move like E-mini and CL. And if you go in, because they post like the winning combines of everybody that passed that month, and if you go through and look at it, probably 80% of them are oil traders, which is just kind of reinforces what I'm saying. It's like a lot of people that get funded got lucky. Not saying that you can't be a good trader and it can't be done, but most people that do it are just lucky. They happened to be the right way on a really big oil move, and they made like the whole combined profit in one or two trades and kept to their risk parameters for the rest of it. And yeah, I'm liking the way this is moving so far in ES. This is a really good two pullbacks and higher highs now. It's tough though, because where's it gonna stop? You're at one area where it could potentially stop, but I think there's also a really good chance that we go up to at least 25.90, 25.92. I think we could have a much further move. Treasuries are still struggling with this price level. So do you have any checks from TST? Well, and that's the other thing is that what'll happen is you get lucky and you get funded, and then you lose it before they actually let you trade real money. There was a funny situation where one of their coaches couldn't pass the combine. Yeah. Well, no, it wasn't necessarily that the one guy couldn't pass the combine. It was that the two of them worked together and said, okay, we're going to do a combine and we'll show you what we're doing day by day. And they did it, and they didn't pass. And you could kind of see as they were going along, they had some good ideas and they were making some okay trades, and it just didn't happen. And then they eventually just kind of stopped talking about it. Which is unfortunate, because those two guys, especially Danny, who trades treasuries, that kid knows what he's talking about. Like my recollection is that he traded for a firm. So like, it's not like he's a bad trader. It's just like, I'm just saying, even if you're a really good trader, there's a good chance that you're not going to pass it because the target is so fucking high. We have a tendency of wanting to make money in the market every day, which is very hard. Yep. And many fail because they trade 3 contracts in oil. Yeah. Okay, so they're getting a little bit more of a pullback here, and treasuries are very much reacting to it. So I'm a little frustrated that I'm only getting 2 or 3 ticks from this. So I think it's like 3,000. You trade 4 contracts. The goal is 3,000, but you can't. There's a trailing drawdown, so you can't draw down more than like 1,500. I think 1,500, 2,000. It's set up for you to fail. That's the business model. The business model is the combine fees, not trading performance. Ding ding ding. That's why some of these other ones seem a little bit more promising. Oh man. Hmm. Just sinking here. So the stop is still in the right spot. 24. Well, past 23 half. Um, what we're seeing right now is potentially just a pullback. But if it comes back up, you might have a head and shoulders set up, which would be really bad. I was funded once, but fell. Oh yeah. So the combine reset fees was when when I made that video the first time, or no, I think it was around the time that I made that video. I was kind of like, well, it's okay if you have performance that shows that you will pass it consistently. Chances are, almost none of the people that are taking combines qualify as that. But if you knew that you were going to pass and you take it, then it's totally legit. But then they started offering combine fees. And that to me was an admission that, hey, passing the combine is very much luck. And what we'll do is we'll let you get past that luck a little bit by saying if you don't, if you have a bad day or whatever, just reset the combine. But then if you can just reset the combine at any time, doesn't that kind of defeat the whole point of, having rules and sticking to it and learning from that? Nah. So once they started offering a lot of incentives around the resets, I was like, this is bullshit. That was kind of when I went from, I kind of like them, but you're probably not going to pass, to I don't really like them. Don't take the combine. Put that money in an account and just trade sim is probably a better use of your money. Well, I don't like that 23 is being bid at 22.5 now. Looks like that was a profit taking for the most part. Okay. Refer your newbie friends and get $100. Yep, don't forget that you have to pass twice in order to get funded. Yep. I wonder what percentage of people pass it once and then don't pass it the second time. Well, you gotta understand that they are also running a business too. Like, who fucking cares? You know? I mean, if you're running a business that's basically taking advantage of people not being good traders, then who the fuck cares about your business? You know what I mean? What I would like to see is a business that's invested in traders being successful. That's just me. They're thinking about it. They're not sure. I think I have to consider the possibility here now that a lot of this is tied to, yeah, they don't care about profitable traders. I mean, I think the coaches do. I really like the coaches there and stuff. But I think it's a situation where probably the individuals probably really do care about that, and they think that they're doing the best thing, but the business model is just diametrically, and I shouldn't say diametrically opposed, but the business model just does not have that same incentive. You know, what they claim to want is not in line with the business model. It's just like Forex. Forex, they don't necessarily make money from you being a profitable trader because they don't charge you fees. They trade against you. And then people are surprised that Forex traders almost never actually make money. Well, I'd have to say, I thought when we were down to 21.5, okay, I can see potentially a reason to get out here, but I'm weary about doing it because I'm not sure that I'd be able to get back in at a better price. Well, I was wrong because I could go short at 23 again right now. No, listen. If everybody was a profitable trader, um, it wouldn't make money. The way that they make money is from people taking the combine and failing it. Because if you traded their money, think about it realistically. If you trade with them and you make money, you gonna stay with them forever? Oh, I did not like that bid. Okay, they're hitting it pretty hard, but man, somebody still wants to short the E-mini. It looks like. Mm. Yeah. So if you made the combine and you're making money from them, how long would you do it for? Right? You save all of that up and get $10,000, and you're gonna go off on your own, right? Give me $100, and if you pass my intricate sequence of trading challenges, I will give you $1 million trading account. That's 100% what it is. I'm just
An
saying.
update now on the Atlanta Fed GDP now model coming in a little changed at 2.9%. It's the prior of 3.3%. So again, the Atlanta Fed GDP now model coming in at 2.9% for the fourth quarter against the prior of 3%.
Okay, so now we're at a potential support zone. When you look at the performance of like top hedge funds, okay, like top hedge funds don't necessarily pass the combine, right? So I'm just saying you're having really stellar performance when you pass it. You're really good. And there are people that can do it, but they're really good. And there's kind of this mythos around the trading community that if you're a good trader and you know what you're doing, it's easy and you just do it. And I've met people that they could do it, and it's bullshit. It's bullshit. And we can go and look at the stats. I'm just telling you, hedge funds make 20% a year. They make 20% a year. And when you extrapolate how much you're actually making in a month, you're like talking about, with the amount of risk that you're allowed to put on, you're making like double your money in a month. So it's really lucky. Yep. And how long can you stay lucky? Exactly. And the bigger thing is the other thing is they let you trade the combine as long as you want. So you could take on less risk and you could pass it maybe in 3 months, right? But then if you don't pass it the first time, then the amount of money that you would spend over the course of, you know, that 6 months or whatever that you could potentially go through and try the combine twice and fail, okay? That's $900 that you could have put into a trading account and at the very least be getting data, you know? So it really, at that point, when you put that in perspective, it really doesn't make economic sense for a beginning trader to do that. Okay, so we're seeing the E-mini is maybe catching a little bit of a bid here now. We're bouncing off of the VWAP. Unclear if we're really going to get a whole lot from it, but it does look like that they're gonna make a little bit of a move here. Now, if the E-mini can go up and continue through that high, then it would be like crazy positive, but I don't want to get my hopes up. I'm only holding on to it because of where I saw that the liquidity was at. It does appear that I was at least a tick off. Good.
Brexit news now, picking up on a tweet from BBC's Nick Eardley. He's hearing that there was some talk about a second cabinet meeting today, with some ministers warning colleagues they were naive to underplay division and the vote could cause.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised that they're still talking about the second referendum as though it's a serious thing, because they've already put the kibosh on that many times. Well, I think the things that May said at Parliament the other day about a second referendum were pretty conclusive on that one. I'm just surprised they still think that they might get it. That's just a little crazy to me. Well, buyers are still winning battles over here. I'm actually seeing a decent number of stop runs higher. But my 23 is not holding, and it did hold before. So, I have to say that I just didn't manage this trade very well. If you really believe in yourself, open up a $1,500 account and go for it. Why waste time with PTSD and pay that? Yes, I agree with that. Although, as I've found out from my own experience, 1,500 is not enough. Damn it! I stopped. So now that it's stopped me out, it's probably going to turn around and go like way past where I wanted. But what are you going to do? And that liquidity is stacking at 24.5 just pulls every time.
Be aware for your calendars later on today. Eamon Javers from CNBC tweeting that the press secretary Sarah Sanders rare White House press briefing today at 1:30 Eastern Time, 6 London time.
That should be fun. Yeah, I don't know about this. Okay, realistically, you need like 20K. Yeah, I don't even think it would need to be like 20K, but like 6,000. That's what I would recommend if you're going to trade one contract in the 10-year. Okay. And you're trading with really tight stops, like I do. I'm kind of wondering here. Like 24 was where I got stopped out, but now they're stacking liquidity there. It won't let me do that. Let's just put it on there just and see. 10 lot ZB to short it at 14. I don't know if it's going to go up. I don't know if you would get 25.69. Hmm. I can see here that even if they're kind of eyeing this big order here at 25.73, I might go through it. You might get a little bit of fun. That 24 is pulling too easily. Man. Okay. So that was a pretty strong rush down, but the cumulative delta was not affected. Barely at all. Just a teeny tiny little bit down. Well, you could get 25.69 now if you wanted. And 24 is kind of acting balanced. Okay, yeah, there we go. Nothing trading into 23.5 though. Struggling. It doesn't actually look like people want to sell it down here. It sits there forever and then they buy it up. And on the split side, nobody wants to sell this here. In the 10-year. Okay, they're building some volume here in this area. Yeah. The big order there in the 5-year. If that pulls or they trade through it. Treasuries look like they're not really actually sure which way it's going to go. kind of all just positioning themselves so if the E-mini does something. Okay, there's a little bit of a pull there. At least the 23.5, not at the 25 quarter. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Why winner becomes loser? Because I'm dumb. Probably. Yeah. Hmm. Okay. I don't know. It's something that happens to me a lot, right? When a winner becomes a loser. I think that I am just really fucking stubborn, you know? And if I have a really clear idea in my mind of where I think it's going to go, I tend to really stick to my guns and wait for that to happen. And when it doesn't, I don't really know when to let go. Yeah, so it looks to me, Swisso was saying, look at the fast upticks in the E-mini. So what I'm seeing here is that um, there's a decent number of people short, but nobody wants to sell it down here at the bottom past below 25.69. Nobody really wants to sell it below that. And when it moves up, there's stops. Now I am seeing a little bit of conflict in the treasuries, but the sellers are starting to win out. Okay, so sellers are willing to defend that, but they're just going to get plowed through, probably. Yeah. Plowed right through them there. Yeah. That was a good call there, but they're still not really like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just expecting too much, but I want them to go and break the high. I want treasuries down here. I want treasuries down here. 19.5. It does not. They are not looking to me at the moment that that's what they're going to do. Although I do think we could move down a little bit more because I do see some liquidity below us here and everything. Oh, you know what? It's 8:30, so I kind of do have to think about taking it off now. Yes, I did well at anticipating the direction, but your profit target was too big. Yeah, totally, for sure. Well, so keep in mind, um, these things here are not necessarily targets. I mean, I put that in there because if we move down there, there's a chance that I'm a shitty trader. Why am I giving you pointers? You know what? Listen. No, let me finish with that, and then I have another thought for you. Okay. I put that there because if we get down to there, I'm going to bet you that there's going to be more than 4,000 at 19.5, and I want a better spot in the line. And if we had some sort of a stop run or a rush, that is where, if there was a stop run, there might be some profit taking right there, and so I would want to get out there, and that's why I leave those there. But generally, my exit is going to be some sort of a balance area. Okay. So the question is, so the comment was, but I'm a shitty retail trader. Why am I giving you pointers? Like, so I'm not necessarily a super amazing trader either. But what I've found is that everybody has something, right? Like every trader will at some point have a trade where they were just totally right and they knock it out of the park. Every trader's had that experience at least once. Sometimes it's a really bad thing for them because they try and find that all the time. I have a tendency to want to go for that home run every time. Okay. But everybody has a time period or a market where they've done well. Everybody has a particular thing that they're good at. And unfortunately, sometimes that one thing is not necessarily enough to keep them in the market, but everybody has something. And so I feel like the reason why our Discord in particular has been able to be successful is because everybody contributes regardless of whether or not they think that they're really good or not. Like everybody just kind of acknowledges and is humble about it that we all kind of suck at this. you know? Okay, well, so this right here at 22 halves is a little bit too much absorption. And there is a, oh man, am I gonna have to take 23? Because there's a bubble there. Ooh, I'm gonna get bubble on the other side now too. See, anytime that I see some sort of an iceberg, that's a potential get out spot. Definitely right here, because this might be 5K. I wonder if John Grady is still trading. I think he does. But I'm going to bet that his performance is probably a little spotty, just like mine is. I was watching one of his. Somebody linked me. They had online one of his webinars, and I was watching his webinar. And it was a day that I traded, so I kind of opened up my video and watched what I was doing and thinking, and what he was doing and thinking. And he was fading a really strong trend, like really bad. And he's like, this happens to me sometimes. You can see the spot, and it'll just keep going and going and going, and you get stuck and whatever, right? And I went and I watched my video. I was not profitable that day. Even though what I thought he was doing was dumb, I made different mistakes. And at the end of the day, the mistakes that I made were much worse than the mistakes that he made. Yeah. So at that point, I realized, because I always thought, okay, it's just my reading of the order flow I need to get better at reading the order flow, or it's the context that's not good enough, or that sort of a thing. And when I saw that, that's when it kind of clicked. It's like, actually, the things that are maybe preventing you from being a profitable trader might be really super, super subtle. Subtle, teeny tiny little mistakes. The thing like, oh man, what's that? What's happening? Holy shit, guys. Holy shit, what just happened? Is it some tweeting? Nothing's coming in over the squawk. What about the Twitters? I don't see anything on the Twitters. Wow. What was that? Well, that was a really strong move down that just completely retraced before I even understood what was going on. I'm wondering if that's going to propel us higher now. Because that was... Woo. Oh, okay. Breaking, Arizona Governor Doug Ducey will appoint GOP Representative Martha McSally to the Senate seat being vacated by GOP Senator John Kyle. Aha. So that is good for Donald Trump, because she was pretty pro Trump, is my recollection. She was pretty, maybe I shouldn't say pretty pro Trump. She was pretty conservative from my recollection. And the people on the Donald subreddit seemed to really support her. Okay, we better put that in there now, because there's going to be a lot that's going to trade there. And it is moving down again. Yeah, I'm gonna bet. Well, I mean, with my order there at 22.5, I am making the bet that when they trade through that more than 14.94 are gonna trade. The problem with new order flow traders is they focus too much on new shit like split profile heat map and not on the market. Maybe. I mean, the thing that I think is silly about that is that most of those tools are just different ways of looking at the same thing. I think the thing that's difficult for me is that the market is really good at making it look like something it's not.
Reporting that the French government has scrapped the extension of household.
You know, you'll be a beginning trader, and you'll trade, and you will see a really strong downtrend. Okay, and then you say to yourself, "Oh, okay, I've seen a really strong downtrend. I know what that looks like. the offers will stack really, really quickly behind it, and I'll see these profit targets way down below the lows of the day, like people betting on it going past the low. And I'll see anytime that
Here's political news now. Let's say U.S. Senators Hatch and
now it's hitting the wire.
metals tariffs exempt.
Oh, okay. And anytime that it ticks up, I'll see a lot of absorption on it. And anytime that it ticks down, I will see a lot of orders pull. And you will say, okay, that is what a downtrend, that is what a trend day down looks like. And then the next day you come in, and it will do that exact same thing that you saw the day before. It says, it just is screaming and yelling at you, this is a strong downtrend, you need to get short just like you did yesterday. And it won't go down. That's what they do. 100%. All the fucking time, guys. There is, in my experience, there could be something that I just haven't discovered yet, and maybe somebody has an edge. And if you have that edge, I would love to hear about it, or you show some proof at the very least that you actually have that edge in some performance. But I do not think that there is an order flow signal that you can take every day and consistently make money on. They know what kind of things have been happening in the order flow, and they use that against you. It's a metagame. It's like playing League of Legends or StarCraft, and knowing what strategies are popular and playing against those. It's the whole counterpick thing. It's really big in order flow. And you kind of have to know, well, this market is making me think, it really looks, and I really feel strongly that it's a strong trend down. But the context of the situation doesn't justify that. There's not some sort of super positive news that we're hearing. The buyers are not outnumbering the sellers in the E-mini right now. The orders really aren't pulling, even though we're seeing a lot of stacking. And so they are actually telling us that they're trying to get us to sell the edges or buy the edges. Like what Upon was at 2024 when I took it, they were really making it look like it was going to go up. It's obvious. Algos know that order flow is the new fad among retail traders, and they use it against us. Mm-hmm. Totally. You know what? I think it's even worse than that, E-mini trader. I think that the algorithms look at the behavior of the market and use machine learning algorithms to target things. And I don't think that those machine learning algorithms really know that retail traders are buying it based on this or this in the order flow, or based on this Fibonacci level or anything like that. I think that they just arrive at it randomly through machine learning. So that really means that any strategy that you come up with, even if you found something that was beyond order flow, the algorithms could still potentially target it, even if they had no way of seeing it. Does that make sense? Because it's the way that they do it is they say, okay, here is all of the data that I can look at, and here are maybe some patterns, and here are some ways of connecting those patterns.
US Census Bureau that's already delayed in case of shutdown, but the US Census Bureau would add.
Here's some ways that these things get combined and everything, and then it just starts putting things together randomly. It says, oh, what if I did this, and this? And then it backtests it. And what if I did this, and this? And it backtests it. And then out of all of those different tests, it takes the one that worked the best, and that becomes the new algorithm. And then it runs it for a day, and then it redoes all of the stats, and it adjusts the algorithm for that day. So it's always constantly changing, right? So you can't You know, you kind of have to just look at the meta of it and know what kind of a market it is, essentially, to play it. And that means that you're not going to get it. Yeah, I get to mute that the squawk. I always stop because we never know what they're gonna say. I don't like talking through it. So, but yeah, that's why I say you're never going to be like 100% profitable every day. There's no such thing. It's not possible. I'm not going to say it's not possible, but it's extremely unlikely, because anything that would be that consistent, the robots will sniff out immediately. Even if you were just trading it like one contract, the algorithms, they test everything you can possibly imagine, and they're going to try and take that trade and beat you to it, right? Doesn't mean that you can't be profitable in the long run, just not every day. And the things that are going to make you profitable are going to be really tiny little things, like getting the right spot on your risk reward. I mean, think about if on my first trade, if I had taken it short at 24, I had been more, quick about it, and I had taken it at 24.5 as she went, and then it came back to 21.5, 1 2 3 4 5 6, and then here again the 3 ticks, that would have made today like an 8 tick day. And that's just like a simple little thing about the price that I picked. Tiny things. That's why it's kind of like when you're taking a trade and you're reviewing it, sometimes it seems like you're stressing out about really insignificant things, but in the 10-year, those things matter, so focus on them. Try and say, what would have been the perfect way to trade this, and what strategies would have helped me get that better. Yeah, I wonder what's really going on in the E-mini here. I mean, they've had a pretty good move down, but they had like this thing right here. No, it was this thing right here. You can barely see it. It's kind of like this move down, and then they recovered. They held it for a while, and then eventually it fell. It kind of feels to me like somebody has some news out there, and then it hasn't fully disseminated to the rest of the market. Okay, well, I've yapped a lot. I hope you guys enjoyed it, but I felt like we had some good stuff to talk about today. And it's really nice to have a good conversation going, especially when the 10 points would have made my week, right? Jeez. Yeah. Especially when the market's kind of being difficult like it has been today. I really wish that I saw that initial downtrend, but like that was the kind of the thing, is like when it was up here, I was like, well, I can see some things that are actually favoring the long because the liquidity is there, and then they just fell right through it. It was like, it's just not. Now, it did give us good continuation trade, so I'm happy about that. I'm mad that I didn't take the profit, but I'm happy that we got the continuation trade. But it's just really not a good read, is it? The bird is mocking me. No. Whenever you hear that, like, it's kind of like the way that the pitch falls. That's just hello. Because when they are mad, the pitch kind of like rises and very short kind of things. That's when they're mad, or he's being mean. When they're frustrated, they go like, and they'll kind of like bite you in the air, like. It's really funny. Okay, so I'm gonna keep recording for about maybe another 10 minutes, because I won't. But I need to post the Bitcoin charts. So yeah, I'm going to do that now. Okay. Well, We never got over 24.5, did we? 25 is still holding strong. But it was like a higher low. I may move back up to the open price. Especially if the E-mini continues to sell. Man. Although they're just kind of churning around right now. It's not enough of a downturn for me to like get super negative about it. But you know, the way that this market has been, I think I'm just shell shocked from the way this market has been trading. You know, again the PTSD. Oh no, it's just gonna start going down and never stop again. All right, so let's see. Any other comments? And now comes the high, do it all well. Oh, I see somebody here in Twitch. What did I miss? Have you ever looked into position trading? That's a good question. Oh, and you just barely posted that. Yeah, so I feel like so what I used to do when I first started is I would just trade on a spreadsheet, and I would do position trading on stocks essentially and hold them for like a week to a month. And I did pretty okay with that, although I think a lot of why I did so well was because of the market that we were in. Like, it was just after the 2009 2008 crisis, and so things were just going super crazy. It was like I bought it a little bit, and then things seemed to like sputter out, so I would just go short, and all you had to do was sell it, and you'd make money, right? And then I did some swing trading, and with a similar sort of thing, and I thought I did well on the swing trading too. But again, it's on paper, so like maybe if you were really sitting there, you wouldn't have clicked it, or you wouldn't have actually gotten that price, or you're kind of giving yourself more leeway than the real trading system would give you. But I thought I was really good at the swing trading, and I still kind of see things from time to time that are kind of like, you know what? That scalp did not work out for me, but if I had taken that as a swing trade, it would have been a really good trade. All the time. And we've often hypothesized that I would maybe be a better swing trader. And we have Peter in Discord, who's a pretty good trader, although it sounds like he hasn't been doing as well this month. But he's made some great trades, and he's a swing trader, and I really am envious of some of the trades that he takes. But that kind of trading just doesn't fit my risk profile right now, unfortunately. I'm only going to be able to trade futures, a small few $1,000 account, and I'm only going to be trading one, and I only have these 2 hours to trade before I have to go into work, and so I have to just stick to scalping, unfortunately. That's a good question. I don't know if you're still there, but I appreciate the question. Yeah, it looks like there's at least one person on Twitch. Anyways, thanks for coming by. There's always, so just for anybody that's new, I think most people here are pretty, yeah, there you are. Yeah, nice to talk to you. I have to be like going now, like 9 o'clock is like my hard stop. Just so you know that like there's links here on the page. I'm a hard believer in each to their own. Different personalities are better at different styles. Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. I don't know if scalping is really, I don't know. There are some things that are good for it, and there are some things that are bad for it. I think that the types of things that I tend to see tend to be better at higher time frames, but I also think that I'm much more of an in-the-moment kind of a person, so I don't know. Anyways, check out the Discord link, because there's a lot of really good traders in Discord. It's kind of quiet just because it's December, but we have a really good community. And there's the YouTube channel. There's a lot of people that talk in the YouTube chat too, so unfortunately, not a lot of people find us through Twitch, even though Twitch is definitely a more fun platform to stream on. But yeah, so yeah, it's time for me to go, but I will be back tomorrow. I'll see you guys then.